They say to never count the Carolina Hurricanes as the cardiac Canes or the comeback Canes. Once again, pull off an epic comeback win against the Dallas Stars on Monday night for Hockey Talks. Could this be the biggest comeback of the season? Well, if so, it's only November.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everyday for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I'm the co-host of the Search Cast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a very fun Tuesday episode for you guys as we'll be recapping the epic comeback for your Carolina Hurricanes as they clawed back from a 3-1 deficit to beat the Dallas Stars 6-4 Monday night on Hockey Talks Mental Health Awareness Night. And what a welcome back to Seth Jarvis and have yourself a game, Sebastian Aho. But before we jump into all that, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And yeah, this episode, guys, we're gonna be recapping the game, but mostly just talking about how it's nice to have Seth Jarvis back. Just a great game that he had, multi-point night. Sebastian Aho, have yourself a game. I think this might be the turning point game for him of the season, because we've been asking for, like an in-your-face Sebastian Aho game, and we certainly got that for sure. Martin Necas just keeps playing really good hockey as always, and just talk about a great comeback overall for the team. This shows that despite dealing with injuries and not having great, first couple periods, finds a way to turn on the team found a way to turn on, what makes them so good, and finds a way to come back and win. But just it's just so good to see. It's one of those games where, it may not be pretty, but man, you just know this. Like, you can never count the Carolina Hurricanes. Even over the last few seasons, people should know at this point, like, hey, they might be down 2 or 3 goals, but hey, that's the one good thing about this team is there's never they're gonna roll over and die on you. They're not gonna go quit. They're not going to be other teams that you saw Monday night while they're down like 2 or 3 goals, just absolutely mail it in for the rest of the game. You don't really see that with the Carolina Hurricanes. And, yes, despite the fact that you saw them give up a goal 18 seconds into Tyler Seguin, and, of course, that's one of the hottest lines right now in the league. That's, not talked about enough with Seguin and Mason Marchment and Matt Duchene. I said it, you got to keep those guys at bay. You can't give them any room to do their job. And unfortunately did, but, it luckily didn't last very long. It's, Seth Jarvis on one of his multi-point nights, one of his multi-point, contribute, gets a absolute beauty of a pass, goes in, just finds a way to surprise Jake Ottinger and goes in for a shorthanded goal under the pads, great backhand, and it's just way to make yourself feel known, Seth Jarvis, for the fact that his first game back after being out for the last 8 games due to a shoulder injury just comes in, just wows the crowd, gets him into it right away, despite the fact that, it was pretty much silent for the first good bit of the game, but just finds a way to just come in, puts it shorthanded, makes your special teams feel good right away. You get your 5th of the season, Just a great pass from Sebastian Aho. Now you're looking at a game where it's all right, it's 1-1, Yeah, it wasn't a great start. Sagan gets the first goal of the game, but you tie it up and feeling pretty good about yourselves. Then unfortunately, this is another goal that, overall for this game for Spencer Martin, it's a tough one for sure, because like the first few goals you really can't put on him, but it's like it's dang if you do, dang if you don't type of situation. For the second goal, there's nothing you can do. As Thomas Harley did get the Dallas Stars their lead back with a there's like I said, there's nothing you can do when the puck goes off the post and in the net. You can only do so much. So that's basically what happened. Stars go up 2-1. Second period, Mason Marchment got the only goal. And of course, this is where you see Spencer Martin watch it the entire way from behind the red line, goes almost dang near the crease, and goes right to Marchment, who's wide open. I will say, poor defensive breakdown for the fact that he shouldn't have been that open. But also, if you're Spencer Martin, you got to make a play on that, because if it's that close to you, just poke check the puck away or stick your arm out and block it. Like, there's something you could have done, or just try to put your glove over it. But what can you do? It's 3-1 going into the period, and this is the thing that's crazy too for the Hurricanes, is that the Dallas Stars are 11-0-0 on the season when leading after two periods. And, well, make that 11-1-0 because the Carolina Hurricanes had a 5-goal third period. That shows you how much of an epic comeback this team had. They scored 5 goals in the third period alone. And, of course, a minute and 10 in, it's like, okay, Dallas, you're going to have an early goal? Well, ours might not be that quick, but it'll be something for us. As Sebastian Aho gets his 7th of the season after a great pass from Seth Jarvis. Just great, went into one opposite end of the ice to the other. Just a fantastic pass right in his wheelhouse. It's 3-2. You're feeling good. You're a minute 10 in. You feel like there's a game. You feel like there's, a little bit of a resurgence coming back from your Hurricanes. And then how about Brent Burns for his first of the season, not even 2 minutes and like 30 seconds later, and in a span of 4 minutes, your Carolina Hurricanes go from 3-1 down to a tied game. And I had to see Brent Burns on that shot. My goodness. To use a lot of traffic, put an epic wrist shot on that, and absolutely snipe that top shelf on Jake Oettinger, of course, finding where the cookies are hidden, because that's just how great of a shot it was and how pinpoint accurate he had to be. Just an overall great shot from Burns. Talk about having your first of the season where you tie the game. You basically erase the 3-1 deficit. Now you're feeling really good about yourselves. The fact that now you got a tied game. Now you're really back in it. And then, the power play, up to this point, the Hurricanes didn't really have a power play. And this is the one thing that was kind of insane to think about throughout the game was you had 3 total penalties, all against Carolina in the first couple periods. 2 of them too many men penalties. And you're also missing for the fact that there was a missed high stick on Jalen Sheffield, a missed tripping call, a missed hook. Like, there was at least 2 or 3 penalties that were missed by the refs, but they were so keen on finding bench minors on the Hurricanes. And it's like the Hurricanes couldn't buy a power play for the first 40 minutes of the game, and it seemed like momentum was just never on their side. Like, anytime they tried to do a zone entry or try to play the puck down low in the corners, there was always something. There was always a whistle. There was always something that the refs were doing to blow the play dead, and there was just no opportunity for them to do anything. There's always a lot of start-stops. And I think that's what, the only way to get the Hurricanes out of their rhythm is if you're consistently blowing the whistle and consistently, blowing the plays dead and not really giving them their opportunities to do what they need to do. And that's kind of what is really saw in the first 40 minutes. It just didn't really work out for them. And that's just kind of not really worked out. But then luckily, the Hurricanes finally get the first power play, and man, they made it work because Shane Gostisbehere on a great shot, finds a way to get his 5th of the season, of course, with Martin Necas and Sebastian Aho getting, more points onto their game, makes it 4-3. You're feeling good with the power play. You're 1 for 1 finally. Mira Heiskanen does tie it again for the Dallas Stars. That's one for Spencer Martin. It's like, yeah, you got some screen traffic. Maybe you can look one way or the other and try to find a way to stop it. Just unfortunately pick the wrong space, but what can you do? But then the power play once again, and the guy who drew the penalty, Martin Necas, got clipped high on a high stick, finds a way to score his goal on a insane pinball wizard-esque goal that I think even the Who would really appreciate. For his 12th of the season, goes off Labushkin, goes off another defender, and past Jake Ottinger. Shane Gostisbehere multi-point game with his 11th assist, and of course Seth Jarvis was his second assist on the night, third point of the night. It's 5-4 Carolina at 17:53, and it's like, okay, now you're really feeling good because now you're back up once again. It's 5-4, momentum's on your side, and then Andrei Svechnikov for his 8th of the season, Sebastian Aho's third assist, fourth point on the night, makes it 6-4 on an empty netter at 19:45. And that ices the game and seals the deal for your Carolina Hurricanes. And just an overall fantastic night. I mean, yes, granted, it wasn't the most cleanest game. It was very, comeback. You really had to rely on the comeback, and it was one of those games where you're kind of like, oh, I don't know about this gang, but in the end, it worked out for your Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, Sebastian Aho, first star, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Seth Jarvis, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and then Martin Necas, a goal and assist for 2. And you love to see that for those guys stepping up when they really needed to. In terms of the defense, the multi-point game guy, Shane Gostisbehere, 1 goal and 1 assist. And of course, Spencer Martin gets the win, saving 15 of 19. Did get the win, but did have a .789 save percentage. But hey, a win's a win. How about the special teams? They were 3 for 3 on shutting out the Dallas Stars. Did get a shorthanded marker. Oh, and they also went 2 for 2 on the power play. Talk about a great night for the special teams. And I always throw out kind of like what's the plus minus of the special team stat. Let's see. 3 for 3 on the power play. All right, there's your plus 3. Plus 2 for your power play going 2 for 2. So that's a plus 5. And technically you are a plus 6 because you had that shorthanded marker. So you are a plus 6 on the special teams just because of the fact you went 3 for 3 on the kills, 2 for 2 on the power play, and you also added a shorthanded marker. So hey, you'll easily take a plus 6 on the special teams, that's for sure. But now we talked about the game overall. Obviously, fantastic win. Great to see them win on mental health hockey night. It's good to see that the Hurricanes, bring awareness to something that's very important. Of course, you guys heard me talk about on Monday's show how much that means to me, but just for the fact they found a way to do it on that night in the most epic ways of a comeback on an emotional roller coaster of tied game, being down by 2 goals, going into the last period, then scoring 5 in the third to complete the epic comeback. You love to see it, and just a perfect way to end a W on a night to bring awareness to something that's really that needs more attention on. But you love to see it for a huge win for your Carolina Hurricanes for their 15th of the season. Now, talking about all that, we have to highlight a couple guys. And the first guy we're talking about is Seth Jarvis, because after missing 8 games, he made his presence felt. So we're actually going to listen to his post-game interview and give my thoughts on all of the stuff that he talked about and just him in general. So we're going to do that here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this hockey season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Well, you can make your picks in less than 60 seconds to turn your sports opinions into real money all season long with PrizePicks. Now, for me, do I think that John Tavares might have more than 9 faceoffs won in a game, or do I think that Seth Jarvis might have 1.5 more than or less than 1.5 points per game? Well, you can do that with PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONAHL. You're going to get $50 instantly as you place your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONAHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You can do that as PrizePicks, where you can run your game. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And like I said, at the end of segment 1, we're going to jump into the Seth Jarvis press conference for the post game to get his thoughts overall on his first game back and just how an epic comeback that was for your Carolina Hurricanes, especially the fact it was a multi-point night for him. So without further ado, let's head over to the interview with Seth Jarvis right now.
I was just trying to bring energy and make sure, just try to kind of drag everybody in the fight, especially after the start, but I mean, can't ask for much more.
I think in your interview you were saying trying to get your legs and feet going.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the way it was early in the game?
Yeah, a little bit. I felt better than I initially thought I was going to. But, it was honestly just getting used to the speed again. Used to guys flying at you. 2 weeks and just stick hammering through cones. So it's been, it was a good game to kind of kick it off.
When you guys get shorty?
I don't know. I mean, it was just, a good play at the line, just trying to keep it out. And then I know Fishy's going to jump, so it was just kind of catch up with him. And he made a great pass over me, and it was just kind of knowing the goalie's going to slide and just kind of putting it where he's coming from. If he was on his feet, maybe he saves it, or just trying to put it on net.
Well, you guys stick work by you on that goal, too. I mean, you're knocking down the pass initially, and then to receive the first pass, set it up, and get it back to the net.
Sometimes I surprise myself. I got a little bit of skill deep down.
When you guys get rolling like that, I mean, how much fun is that? You guys are skating like crazy in the third period.
Yeah, that third was exactly what we needed. There's a lot of credit to the older guys in here, just kind of keeping us composed, knowing that when we find our game that we got to trust it, and that good things are going to happen. That's what
Are you guys going to have to maybe win some games like this until the goalie situations get figured out?
Well, Spence played great. The goalie situation's all right. I mean, obviously you don't want to see guys get hurt, but we have all the confidence in the world in Spence back there, and he did a great job tonight.
Were you at all surprised that you finally got a power play after it seemed like there wasn't going to be one?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't know what was going to happen, but that's just a lot of credit to the guys on the power play, just staying ready. Ghost, obviously, they're going, and then Netchi, getting them any way you can. So it was just a great job overall by us.
How did the game feel to you after 40 minutes? When you went back out there, did you have reason for a lot of faith, or did it feel like it was going to be hard to get to the game?
We always got faith in ourselves. I think that's what makes this team so good, is that we never feel out of it. And like we showed there tonight, just sticking with, even if we didn't find it in the first 40, we had glimpses, but we knew it was in there, and we knew it was there for us to take. And so just being able to come in there, start the third the way we did, and then just kind of build off it was huge.
How much did Burns getting in the goal column boost things too?
Everyone loves when he scores, and I think he loves scoring more than anybody I've ever seen. So him getting that one's huge just for him and for the team in general. Yeah.
Big thank you to Seth Jarvis and the Carolina Hurricanes for that. And just from hearing a good portion of that, it's good to see that even like Seth can still have it's awesome just to hear the sense where he has. He was like, yeah, hey, even I price myself sometimes. And that just shows you how, while being gone for a few weeks, it's always good to see him back and ready to go. And also to that, as they bring up the goaltending situation, like, you think you have to win games like these, depending on how to get this figured out. And says like, hey, he played, pretty decent. It's just, one of those things. Of course, the guys aren't going to throw their goaltenders under the bus, and it's just, it's one of those things where, yeah, you might have to win a lot more grittier, closer games than you would consider. But overall, that's what makes Rod Brind'Amour team so good, is the fact that despite having, maybe giving up some goals, you are still a team that's finding a way to still score over 4 goals a game, and that's what their average is right now. They're one of the few teams that are still averaging that many goals per game, and that's just gives the confidence in the fact that, yeah, even if your goaltending isn't there, you can still shoot the lights out and beat teams in that way as well. And even talking more about Seth Jarvis, Rod Brind'Amour even post game said, just the fact that you keep adding some flowers to how good Seth Jarvis had in a game. He said, that's what drug us into the game tonight, Yarvi and his performance. I thought he was the best player on the ice. And rightfully so. I mean, you look at how good he played. Kicks out for the shorthander, gets a couple extra assists, especially the one that Aho, goal. He found a way to make his presence felt, and you could definitely tell like this team, while they were still winning without him, it didn't really feel the same without Seth Jarvis in the lineup. And you get him back after 8 days. Granted, yes, it was a very up and down, chaotic game. We basically had like all the ups and downs of emotions and all the feelings of different emotions, but it was one of those things where you kind of felt that like it was good to have him back and just be able to have the energy back on the room, back on the lineup, and especially on the ice too. Like starts the game on the second line with Jury and Nietzsche. So it was like, okay, that could be a sneaky good line. And that line was doing good to start the game off. And then as it went on, as trying to get jump, especially with how the game was going into the third period, you see him get slotted up on the first line on the left wing side with Sebastian Aho, who we all know they had a great chemistry last year together. He slides up with him, and then you had Jackson Blake. And that line absolutely played phenomenally as well. The one thing about Seth Jarvis that's so good is for the fact that he can find a way to make himself, and pretty much almost, I mean, you hear from Rod Brindamore, he can play pretty much everyone with anyone, but especially with Seth Jarvis, he can move him up to the third line, the second line, the first line, no matter where Seth is at. He finds a way to spark a line, and he's a line driver, and that's what you kind of saw in that game. And that's, with the fact that it's, Jackson Blake, who's a rookie, on the right side, but, those three were flying, and you can see that. So even with Jarvis, Aho, and Blake, that's a good top line. And, it seems like wherever you slot Seth Jarvis, he's an absolute dynamo and someone who can change a line very quickly. You can see that when he's with the Jordans on the right wing. And that's what's so good about him, too, is the fact that you play him on the right wing or left wing, it doesn't matter. He will find a way to make chances for himself or for his teammates and still makes plays, still throws the body in. It's just like if you're talking about a generational, I wouldn't say generational. If you're finding a guy who's really turned himself into an unknown 4 years ago to being hey, this guy can put up 60 points in a breakout season and then comes back, his season, despite missing 8 games, comes back and has a multi-point night and finds a way to make himself feel, present and puts himself in a good spot. I think if you're Seth Jarvis, you're well on your way to putting yourself in some good company for the Carolina Hurricanes as a franchise and maybe adding a little bit more to just your star power, maybe trending to a superstar type level for Seth Jarvis, but you'd love to see that for him. Now, segment 3, we are going to talk about Sebastian Aho and his press conference as well. But before we go into that real quick, I have to bring this up because we didn't have time in the first segment to do it. But Martin Necas, we talked about he had the third star of the game with a goal and assist. Well, now he is currently tied as of right now before Tuesday night's games, 35 points on the season, and that is tied for the best in the league with Nathan McKinnon, 1 ahead of Kaprizov and Jack Eichel, and 3 points ahead of Mikko Rantanen. But yes, there is a Carolina Hurricane at the top of the points leaderboard and one Martin Necas. So you love to see that for him. But sorry, I had to bring that in. I know we're mainly talking about Seth Jarvis in segment 2, but we had to bring that up for Martin Necas because we could not let some flowers not go to the guy who's been an absolutely supernova stellar type player who's already on another point streak once again in Martin Necas. Now, talk about another guy who's definitely in superstar, who's really close to superstar level, who should be a superstar. It's Sebastian Aho. We'll listen to him in his post-game conference here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get 100 in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And like I said, we have Sebastian Aho in his post-game press conference talk about the game and how he played overall and just how this team was able to find a way to come back without, despite being down 3-1 and show that there's no quit in these Carolina Hurricanes. So without further ado, let's jump into the Sebastian Aho press conference right now.
Stick with it. You're going to get your at least one look on the power, and it happened, and obviously way to make it count.
There's a lot of reasons in this game to maybe mail it in the third, but what you guys are facing in goal with get on your third goalie, the lack of power plays, the score, all of that. It just I'm sure you're not surprised the team still sticks with it and pushes through.
Yeah, I mean, Spence, another great game by him. Obviously, kept us in it. It wasn't going our way, but having said that, they did a really good job, kind of making it tough on us, and they didn't make any mistake. I feel like they just high flicked the pucks out and kind of didn't give any rush chances. So it was tough to get the momentum, but it was good to come back on that one.
You guys were a little sort of unusually loose in your own zone the first two periods. What was going on there, and how did you get a turnaround in the third?
It was good job by them. We were playing in our own end, most of the period and most of the two periods, which is, it's tough. I mean, you see it the other way, because when we get the momentum, it's tough to play the game in your own D zone, and I guess that's they did a really good job first half of the game to be in our zone, and then it kind of flipped. So it's I don't know if it's loose, but it's hard.
It seems like you really enjoyed having Jarvis back alongside you too, especially on the penalty kill.
Huge plays there by Jarvis. He just brought a lot of energy and made really nice plays. So happy to have him back.
Are you at all surprised he could be out for that long?
No. Not at all.
You feel like you're finding your game now? You have goals in 4 of the last 6. More correctly? You feel like you're finding your game?
It's been better as of late. Obviously, I feel like we've been I've been playing a little bit better hockey, and obviously you get on the score sheet, you get a little confidence there, but and all that. But I think there's another level still coming.
Big thank you to Sebastian Aho and the Carolina Hurricanes for that, and you can hear it just with Sebastian Aho, the fact that you can definitely tell that. He was trying to downplay them playing loose in their zone in the first period, mainly given to the jump of the Stars, which the Stars did have a jump, but you definitely tell the Hurricanes could just not find any momentum in the first period and were just having trouble containing the puck. But overall they figured it out as the game went on, and just for the fact that too that Sebastian was playing really great hockey, and it's like 4 goals in the last 6, really finding his stride. And I think putting him with Seth Jarvis, and we saw it last year. That works out really well. And that's something that, I wouldn't be surprised if the Hurricanes kind of see that more, because that Sebastian Aho has slow starts, and you always know you kind of need that guy to help drive a line to, take the eye off him a little bit, and also give him the opportunities to get some passes and shots as well. And I think with having Teuvo Teravainen there, I think that's something that they really need to look out for. But you saw it last year with Seth Jarvis, how those two had instant chemistry, and I think you already saw that again on Monday night, where Seth is back with Sebastian, and they go absolutely off for a multi-point night together. They both combined for 7 points. So don't be surprised if you see Seth Jarvis back on that first line for a good period of the season, just be able to help out Sebastian, because somehow those two together always finds a way to make the game better for themselves, and gives both those guys opportunities to thrive where they really need it. That third line with Martinook and Stahl and Carey does really well. Fourth line, is it going to be Kotkaniemi, Robinson, and Roslovic? Maybe, I don't know. It's very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how Rod sets up the lines for the next few games. With the Rangers coming up on Wednesday, and of course you get the backs back later this week, but with the Florida Panthers. But obviously, like I said, great night for Sebastian Aho. 4-point night. You were hoping to see that soon. He did it against a very tough Dallas Stars team. So first start for him with first 4 points. Seth Jarvis, 3 points for the second start. Of course, Martin Nish, like I said. multi-point night to get two for him for the third star, and just you love to see just those three guys kind of clicking right now because the big boys really showed up for the Hurricanes on Monday night. But let me know in the comments how do you feel about that win? I know it's an epic comeback. Everyone's riding high on it, but how do you overall feel with the fact that it was kind of a slow start for the team? Couldn't really buy any momentum. Couldn't buy a power play. Finally got them in the end. That was an epic comeback to win 6-4. But how are you feeling overall going into the next game against the Rangers on Wednesday? Because it's definitely going to be interesting. That's for sure. When it comes to you have a Metro Division rival coming into town the day before Thanksgiving. You just won 6-4. Big nights from guys you need it from. But overall, let me know how you're feeling in the comments below, and just seeing where we're going after a game like that. But guys, that will wrap up a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making your first listen of the day. For your second listen, find out Locked On Fantasy Hockey and become a fantasy hockey expert, and by Get the Edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to keep up with me and everything I'm doing covering the Carolina Hurricanes, well, I am One True Zach on X. You can also check out the podcast at L_Hurricanes. I am also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin. I have link trees in both of my bios on Blue Sky and on X, where you can find all of my articles at the Hockey Writers, or just go to thehockeywriters.com, find my author page, and you can find all of my articles over there. If you want to check out my other podcasts, the Surgecast, well, just check out the Surgecast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For this show, if you want to check it out on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen, just go to Locked On Hurricanes, leave a 5-star rating and review, and I would really appreciate it because I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, Locked On Hurricanes, hit subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you don't miss a show, hit the thumbs up button, let me know if you like the show as well. And like I said in the comments, let me know how are you feeling after the 6-4 win against the Dallas Stars. Make sure to share the podcast with other Caniacs so they become everydayers just like you. Hope everyone enjoys the episode of Locked On Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys their Tuesday. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.